what will happen at the Supreme Court, whether or not the CBSE will actually take a decision on ensuring that the classes will be cancelled or the exams will be cancelled. But what needs to be understood, what the CBSE needs to understand at this point is the northeastern students have not even written one exam. And the situation is quite tense across the country now. We have almost hit the 4.7 lakh margin as well in the coming days. That is another day or two, probably we'll be hitting the 4.7. And just like we see in another 1 week, we'll be seeing close to 5 lakh cases. So that is not something which we would want to see at this point. But nonetheless, we cannot avoid this situation. But what we can avoid is the students contracting this particular virus. So let's just take you through what exactly has been decided today. Well, on Tuesday, the Supreme Court, the CBSE appeared before the Supreme Court, and the authorities or the officials spoke to the Supreme Court and said that yes, we have to take a decision, but we'll have to get a model set, because a model is required to ensure that we can go ahead and mark the students as well. There needs to be a certain pattern in which we can mark them. So we need more time. We are consulting the expert panel. So the Supreme Court said, okay, fine, you can take a day's time. So Wednesday evening, that is today evening, they were supposed to give their results, or they were supposed to give their decision as well. But even today, the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said that the CBSE needs more time. They have said that they need more time, even though the centre as well as the Delhi government, they had moved court, the apex court, and they had said that a decision has to be taken. Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General, had said that CBSE will need more time, and it has been deferred to Thursday, and the decision will be given. So probably now the students, lakhs of students who were supposed to write the exam July 1st to July 7th, 17th, they will have to wait for a few more days now. That's said and done. Now, all of you might be worried as to we have already studied enough, but at the same time, we are also scared. The parents probably will be scared, because even they had moved the court. They had said that the HRD department will have to take a decision here on ensuring that the students somewhere they are not affected when they are writing this particular exam. So, key points here which we will have to consider. First, with the students coming in, the centers will have to be identified. There will have to be social distancing. Checking will have to be done. If we take an example of what happened in in Karnataka itself, the PU examination was conducted. One student who was in an isolated ward or who was in a containment zone came out, wrote the exam and went. No one knew at that point, even though the authorities were supposed to scan and check. We do know that asymptomatic cases are more in Karnataka or in India in particular. So they will not know. So she went, wrote her exam, came back, and after that 4 of them tested positive in her family. And now they are trying to contact trace all those people who were in her section. So it is really hard to even identify a person or know whether or not they have COVID-19. So at this point, it will be really hard for the CBSE to even conduct an examination with social distancing norms or with the norms which have been set by the HRD department. So that needs to be considered. At this point, let's just bring to your notice one of the experts who have said he is a person who has been there, who has looked at how the system works as well. He said that the CBSE will have to cancel the examination because they do not have any other option. They will have to adopt other alternatives or models to ensure that the students are they are graded for their examination as well. They cannot just go out and conduct examinations, because Delhi in particular, we have already seen 63,000 odd cases, and Mumbai over 1,30,000 odd cases. So this is a shocking number which we are seeing. So yes, they will have to consider Northeast Delhi as well is an area where most of the students are there, and the COVID-19 situation is quite tense. So they will have to consider all of these situations as well. One more person has gone ahead and he has said that there will be several models which they'll have to consider. So what are the models that the CBSE can go ahead and consider when it comes to the examination point of view? Well, one, the internal examination will have to be considered. That is, whatever pre-board examinations that you guys have written or the students have written, probably they will start considering that and whether or not they can be marked based on that. That will be one model. Another model will be based on the entire year's tests and assessments which you have done. You will have SA1, SA2, and then you will have internal assessments, projects, and whatnot. So all of these will be considered. A cumulative a grading system will be brought in, and probably based on that you will be graded. That is the second option that they have. Third option will be somewhere online tests and examinations being conducted, and separate paper being brought in, or separate paper being presented before the students. Probably that can be considered as well. So these are three options which they will be considering. Now classes 12, with respect to classes 12, it is quite tricky here, because if class 12 examination needs to be conducted, only few papers are left, but if that has to be conducted, then they will have to consider the JEE, the mains, the NEET exam and CET exam. All of this needs to be considered. So that kept in mind. So what exactly will be done? Will there be an internal assessment for them as well, or will it be an yearly based assessment that needs to be considered? So now this kept in mind, CBSE will have to give its decision. Yes. What happens to the ICSE students? Well, the ICSE students as well, at this point, they are also still waiting. The Center for Indian Examination Board, they have said that they will be considering. They'll see what the CBSE will be taking into consideration, what kind of decision will be brought in from that, and then based on that, the ICSE will also be considering the same. So yes, at this point, the ICSE is not going to be taking a decision right away. They will be waiting for the CBSE to take a decision, and probably by this evening we can we can expect a decision regarding the IIT JEE examination and the main examination as well. So we will have to see what exactly will happen. But the CBSE students, they're quite worried, and parents have been worried as to whether or not the examinations will have to be taken up. We'll have to wait and watch, but there are several models. The experts have said they have no other option. The CBSE knows that at this point it is all about how the safety of the students. The priority will be to ensure that more people do not contract the virus, and also to ensure that the virus does not spread. So the priority will be based on that. So all of you have been asking several questions regarding to the lockdown in Karnataka, in Bengaluru. Well, let's take few questions. Lockdown is going to be there for sure. Yes, they've asked about whether lockdown will be there. To consider this question, 386 containment zones are there in Bengaluru, which we started off with 23 in the month of March. Now there are 386 containment zone. So probably in the containment zone area, what they will be doing, they will be isolating that entire area, sealing down, and they will be checking for random sampling. So if random sampling is done, probably it will work out for everyone. So that is what they will be doing. On the other hand, most of you are asking about the lockdown. Well, Amit has asked about the RGUHS examinations. Well, RGUHS examinations as well, they haven't taken a decision. The medical education minister, that is Sudhakar, at this point, he is also under self-isolation, so he hasn't taken a decision yet, but probably they will be considering, because SSLC examinations will be commencing tomorrow. So since the SSLC examinations will be happening, they haven't taken a decision yet. If something goes wrong there, probably then they will be thinking. Even though on Twitter we have been seeing how it has been flooded with all of you asking for a postponement of SSLC examinations, but probably now they still want to go ahead with it. That is up to them. But at the same time, they will have to consider in the coming days, probably they will be considering whether or not the RGUHS examinations will also be held. But we will also get back to you. We will ask the RGUHS director as well and get back. Anand Hebar is saying we don't need lockdown. It is not going to work again. A financial loss for everyone. I believe it might be true, but no use of doing lockdown. Well, lockdown, to an extent, the experts have said earlier as well in one of the Facebook lives, if you go ahead and watch, the Jaideva director has clearly mentioned that probably lockdown did help in postponing the peak. Probably we have pushed it by another 2 months, and we did control the number of cases during the lockdown, but once the lockdown was lifted, the number of cases did rise. So yes, Lockdown does help in some factors, but if you're speaking about the financial aspect or the economic aspect, probably it will take a toll. But they will have to consider how the lockdown can be implemented, or the lockdown can be imposed in a restricted manner, where a few of the areas they will have to ensure that people do not venture outside, because most of you will have to consider staying at home. That is the need of the hour. Social distancing is the need of the hour. So that needs to be considered. What about recorded classes for primary kids? Well, they are still taking a decision on primary kids here. Recorded classes for now, they will be halting. They have said that it will not be working out. They will have to bring out a new model. The primary and secondary education department is still considering this. So if that happens, probably they will start easing. There is a new model as well from the HRD, where they have said 30% classes will be held, where 30% students will be present in each class. So the number of sections might increase, but with the current situation, with us expecting a peak in the month of August, we cannot take chances here. So they're yet to take a decision on that. That will come under phase 3 of Unlock 1.0. So we'll have to still consider that. Everything said and done, we were speaking about CBSE, what next for students, what next for ICSE students. Well, you will have to wait another few hours, or we could say another day altogether, for the Supreme Court to take a decision on the same. But nonetheless, don't be disheartened, because probably the CBSE, as per the experts, they will have to take a decision on scrapping the entire examination, and the internal exams will be taken. Even though all of you have studied well, do not lose hope, because it is just a stepping stone for you to go future and go places. So do not take this as a hindrance, do not take this as an obstacle. Go forward and achieve all the goals that you have set for yourself. That's all in this Facebook Live.